This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. Episode 94, recorded February 9th, 2017. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I am your host and the editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is our keeper of comics here at TVE, Will.
Hello.
So, today we are going to be talking about our usual three, the Riverdale, Taboo, the Magicians. I'm also going to go over some rapid-fire kind of impressions of some other shows that have either started up or come back recently, and then lastly, we'll talk about what's coming up in the next week. So I'm going to kick things off with a little rapid fire discussion of some other shows that have started up recently. So first up is Legion. So this is something you plan to watch, right, Will?
Yeah, it's something I plan to watch someday when, TV lets up with, the assault on, just my time. Yeah.
It's funny because Netflix just did a whole, thing called There's Never Enough TV or something, where they said they're going to produce 1,000 hours of new content this year.
Yeah, whatever, Netflix. Never enough TV. Oh, yeah, never enough time, you mean. Holy cow.
You haven't figured out how to split yourself into 4 people yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so Legion, I won't go into spoilers or anything, but this is an adaptation of the Legion character, who is Professor Xavier's son in the X-Men comics. And this is done by Noah Hawley. This is what all the buzz is about the show, is the fact that Noah Hawley.
Right.
It's really good. Really, really good. It's up to Fargo level. It's surreal. It's all over the place. It's esoteric. There's just so much going on. It's great. I hope that you can actually get into it, before, it's expired off of the website and you have to wait for it to show up on Netflix or something. Cause I'd like to talk with you about, cause it's really good stuff. So, yeah, Legion's really good.
There's a lot of really
trying
good
to think
stuff.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Santa Clarita Diet came on. I was definitely interested in watching that.
Yeah, Santa Clarita Diet, I'll talk about that right now. Santa Clarita Diet it's okay. I watched the whole thing. I binged through it. It's a pretty easy watch. The episode's a half hour. I just was working on other things. I was working on the website redesign while I just kind of had it on in the background. So it's Santa Clarita Diet's okay. It's decent. That's, of all the shows that, I'm gonna go over on the rapid fire, that's not exactly the one I'd put as a first, to go for, unless you just really need a dark comedy in your life right now.
Right.
It actually, structurally, I thought that the first episode was kind of weak because it felt like a sitcom, with a laugh track and everything, but without the laugh track.
See, I thought the idea was it was supposed to be like a dark comedy, like a sitcom, or really dark.
I thought it was going to be more like Weeds or something,
Oh, gotcha.
Where it was going to be funny, but it wasn't going to you could almost feel like they're waiting for laughter at certain points. They deliver a line and then there's almost a pause. It's got that sitcom cadence to it that I'm just when it's not recorded in front of a live audience, just feels really weird, and unnatural. So I don't know, I don't know how to feel about the Santa Clarita Diet, at least on the early on with that. It's funny. It does, have some interesting stuff as it goes forward. It does have a fantastic cast. But yeah, it's not as good as I expect.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Still decent, but just not what I expect. It is very gory.
That's what I've heard. Yes.
I also watched, one of your favorite things is The Expanse came back, and they did one of your favorite things. They came back with 2 episodes back to back.
I love that because I don't have enough time in my life.
So, yeah, The Expanse came back. It's firing on all cylinders. It's really good. It's immediately picking up from where the last season left off, and the important events that were happening. It's like immediately going into that, the repercussions of it. We also get in this season so far, in these first 2 episodes, I haven't watched the one that aired last night yet. But we also got to see Mars for the first time.
Oh, nice.
So you're getting kind of another new perspective. Like, you know, we had kind of like, we saw Earth and we like the Earth perspective and the way things were there. And we saw like the Belter perspective from like multiple angles. And now we're seeing Mars. So it's kind of giving us like a bigger picture of everything that's going on. It's setting up like a much larger kind of narrative thread going forward than what we had in the first season. But yeah, I can't say much more without spoiling things. So
okay.
It's good though. It continues to be good. It's the Expanse you know and love. I also watched The Imposters, which is a new series on USA, I believe, and maybe TNT, I'm not sure. I just happened to catch this, like, late at night. It happened to, like, come on, like, after, I think I was watching, like, John Wick or something, like a re-airing of that on TV. And then right after that, they had an episode of the show, and I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, it was kind of a show that wasn't really that much on my radar called Imposters. And it's about this woman who has married all of these people and con them out of like basically everything they have, and then moves on to like another person and just has kept doing that. And you kind of get this perspective from this one guy's view of like having married this woman and thinking that everything's really great, and then, you know, finding basically like a videotape left behind by her saying, I've taken everything, don't try to find me. And then she left behind like a sample of like a blackmail file on like his father, saying like if he comes after her, she'll release it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and then in over the course of the episode, he goes in like this huge depression, and he ends up getting confronted by another guy who had also married her and had the same thing happen to him. And together they decide to kind of start tracking down this woman, and you find out like about her her accomplices, and kind of just how her scams work, and as she's getting ready to start her next one. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I think this is one of those shows that's gonna just kind of keep repeating itself and start becoming less interesting as it goes on, but just like a really fascinating concept up front.
Nice.
So good. Yeah, that kind of was like an accidental watch for me.
Accidental watch. Yes. We've all had those accidents.
I watch so much TV that I accidentally watch them.
Yeah. That happens.
Also, after the Super Bowl, which was this last Sunday, was the premiere of 24. They did the same kind of thing 24 has always done, where they air like the first episode on Sunday and then the next episode on Monday.
Yes.
A little bit less so than they used to, because if you remember, they used to do a double episode on Sunday, then a double episode on Monday. So it was like 4 hours in the course of 2 days. That's how 24 used to air, and then it would be week to week. So 24 Legacy, which is like 24, you know, spin-off series without Jack Bauer, just did one episode on Sunday right after the Super Bowl, and then one episode on Monday. So I've seen those 2 episodes of it. It's 24 without Jack Bauer.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
It hits all the same beats. There are some interesting characters. I mean, like Jimmy Smits is in the show as like this guy running for president. So that's really cool. It's got like, this character that's like leaving CTU. She was like the commander and she's leaving it, who used to be on 24 in like some of the later seasons as somebody that worked, in CTU as well. So there are some characters from before. It's got the exact same structure and beats of 24. It's like immediately you're like, there's a rat. Somebody in this organization is, you know, who's the rat at CTU? That, you know, all these friends at CTU, and one of them's secretly feeding information. So it's the exact same beats. It's got some cool action set piece stuff. There's a really cool action moment in one of the episodes, involving like this like giant cylinder, like from a construction site or something, that the character uses basically to run over terrorists.
Oh my.
It's like a really cool thing that like they probably couldn't have done back in the Jack Bauer days, just because, you know, television, the budgets have gone up and stuff since. That, like, it would have been really cool to see, you know, with Jack Bauer doing that scene. But so far it's decent. If you like 24 and you're not it doesn't have to be led by Jack Bauer for you, then 24 Legacy is pretty much exactly the same thing.
Oh, nice.
And the other guy that's in it, he's a badass too, and he's got his own interesting story and stuff going on with him. So
who, Tony Almeida?
No, Tony Almeida is supposed to be in this, but I haven't seen him yet.
Okay, so he's not in the premiere. So
no.
Yeah. Okay.
The main character is new. The main character is like he's like an army ranger that was like part of a group that basically did something similar to like what SEAL Team 6 did with Bin Laden. Like they killed like a top level terrorist, and then they all like their whole unit got separated and put into hiding, and then somebody's like hunting down all of the members of his unit, and he's like him and this one guy that kind of is like has become like a bum and is really PTSD'd out and has all this trouble are like the last ones alive from the unit, and the terrorists are searching for something that one of them took. Of course, you know, it's the PTSD guy that took it. And everybody else in the unit gets killed individually, and now he's on the run and he doesn't know who to trust, and typical 24 hijinks ensue.
Right. What annoys me is like at the end of the last 24, like Jack Bauer went into a Russian like prison, and like I guess that's where we're gonna leave his story forever. It's like, that
wasn't the last one, was it? Because they did that 24 one. It was in London like a couple years ago.
That was the end of that one.
Oh, well, I guess he's just in a Russian prison.
Yeah, I guess so.
He became president of the United States on a different show, so.
Yeah, that's true. I wish we had Kiefer Sutherland as president in real life.
I think anything would be better. So next up I watched Powerless. So this is one that you really quickly lost interest in. Because it's not going to tie into any of the DC Universe stuff, but
that, and it looked like garbage, but yeah, we'll go with that.
I think I like the cast. I like the way the cast interact with each other. The superhero element of the show is really kind of shoddy. It's not that great. It feels really cheesy. When you see the superheroes on screen, it's kind of too ridiculous, and the characters that they have, like the superhero characters they have in the background, are like deep cuts that, you know, nobody really cares about anyway, so that just makes it worse. Bruce Wayne is talked about a lot in the show. He's kind of a character in the show, even though you don't see him.
Of course he is. I knew they were going to name drop him as soon as they changed the premise to be part of Wayne Enterprises.
So basically you just hear like stories about Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of in the background. And
that's lame, because I don't care about having characters constantly talk about a character who's never on the show. So
yeah, well, that's the thing is like I think that Powerless, its best strengths. You think like the concept pushes it as like its best strengths is that it's a comedy that takes place in this universe, but the real strength is just the actors they have playing the characters. Like it would just be better if it was just an office comedy with these same actors than if they took out, as odd as that sounds, if they took out all of the superhero aspects of it and just made it like an office comedy and just had the same cast playing similar roles as to what they're playing here, it would be a better show.
Right.
So that's what I can say about Powerless. I really like the cast though. I mean, Ellen Tudyk, Danny Pudi, you know, the two of them together are great. You know, that the supporting characters in it are really good, but it's just a case of the concept part of the show, which is the draw, isn't great at all. It just doesn't work.
Well, the thing is, it could be great if they allowed it to be great, but no. Because, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's like, it takes place in the DC universe, but you're not going to see anybody you care about, so we're just going to make like a bunch of lame references, and it's like, well...
I'm hoping they move away from that, and that they focus on, because I mean, it is a pilot, and pilots a lot of times are shit, even for really good shows. So I'm hoping, I'll watch like another couple episodes. What I'm really hoping is that as the series goes on, it becomes more about just the fact that they're superheroes and then less that they have to show them at all. You know what I mean? Like it becomes more of a background piece even than it already is, and just lessens that impact and makes it more and more and more about the characters, because that's what works on the show. Everything else doesn't.
Right, exactly.
Or they could just rename the show like The Office too and just get rid of.
Exactly. It's like The Office hilarious if like they stood around and made like DC Comics references, which they could have like literally like Dwight could have like mentioned Bruce Wayne or something, and it would have the exact same effect. Like they gotta like if this is like gonna be set in like the DC universe or something, they gotta like sell that idea to you. And characters making references or something doesn't sell the idea. It's like
I think that even if they did that, it wouldn't work. Just like the way the show is structured, the way it flows, like it just doesn't feel like a good pairing at all. Like even if they were to go more into less deep cuts and more like big characters and stuff and more like big moments like that, I think it would even take more away from the show. If it's kind of weird to say that because that's like the draw of the show, but it's also the weakest part of the show by far. And not just because they didn't give it enough of that, but because like every moment that stuff's happening, it's like, get past this shit. I don't want to watch this, you know? That's it's odd to say, but that's the stuff that doesn't work in the show. So I just wish it had nothing to do with the superhero universe at all.
The stuff that doesn't work. Yeah, but I mean, it's funny because that's its hook. Its hook is like, without that hook, then it's just like, I guess it is anyway. It's just
an office comedy without it.
Yeah, it's just an office comedy. We already have like, arguably, we have two great office comedies. You know, we have the UK Office and we have the American Office.
Yeah, and we have Parks and Rec, and so there's other ones too.
There's other ones too that stand way above and beyond whatever the hell this show is trying to be.
But I think that it doesn't matter if we have that many, because there's always going to be a need for more comedies, because I mean, The Office and the British Office are both over. Parks and Recreation is over, you know, so we need new comedies to kind of come up, and even if they're familiar settings and stuff, what really matters is the characters and the chemistry between the actors. And that's where this show does well. It's like the only thing it does well. So that's why I say, like, I just wish it had nothing to do with DC, that it was just something else. And, you know, concepts are good and all, but like when they're not executed on correctly, which has been a problem with some other shows this season. I mean, Emerald City, you know? The weakest part of that show is that it's supposed to be the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, weakest part.
If they just made it a fantasy show and took out the Wizard of Oz element and just made it a straight up just fantasy series, you know, and did their own thing, it would be better.
No, it'd still be awful. It'd still be god awful.
But it's, I don't know, here's the way I think, like, there was a time at which Powerless and Damage Control were both in development at the same time.
God, I
think Damage Control would work better.
Yeah, because it'd actually be part of the MCU in a real intangible way, because the way Marvel sets it up, it's like, all their stuff is within the same universe, and so it definitely feel more connected to that. Like, they actually already referenced Damage Control on an episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, Mac mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Damage Control would be a little bit tonally different, because the thing about Powerless is that it's like a very lighthearted kind of, you know, you're seeing everything through the main character's eyes, and it's very optimistic. It's almost like Kimmy Schmidt-esque, like optimism kind of, you know, it's not quite at that level, but like that kind of thing matched with the DC thing is just too cheesy. It just doesn't work. Whereas like Damage Control, I think, would be a bit more grounded, you know, in its storytelling. And you would get comedy, but it wouldn't be like at the expense of like, you know, oh, this actually is a real problem, you know? I think that would be mixed in with the tone of Damage Control because they're insurance salesmen, you know, working on that versus where in this show, they're like making products for superheroes. I mean, this feels like it's like a companion piece to the Adam West, like 1960s Batman series more than, you know, more than like the current movies or the Arrowverse. So I think tonally they would be very different shows. Like it would work on Damage Control where it doesn't work on Powerless. But, you know, one episode in, so we'll have to see what happens with the rest of that.
See what happens with the rest of it.
I also watched The 100, the first and second episode of the new season. Continues to be good, continues to be stressful. One of the strengths of The 100 is that for like a a CW type show, it keeps asking really hard questions and then sticking to the circumstances of, or the fallout of the answers they get. So like they'll put a character in like an impossible place where they have to make like just a really hard choice, and then they fully explore the fallout of that choice. And that's one of the 100's greatest strengths, continues to be doing that now. Some things might infuriate people where it's like, oh, why did you do that? But then like it has a good way of exploring. So 100 continues to still be good. Let's get on to a real discussion now though, the meat and potatoes of this episode. Let's talk first about Riverdale. So in on the second episode, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's still good. I'm still enjoying it. Definitely. If anything, I think it increased in quality. I don't think we haven't hit a road bump yet. I don't know what you think.
I think it kind of went down in quality a little bit because I think it lost some of the weirdness of the first episode.
The weirdness? I don't know. I didn't feel that, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just because
I think it's still good, but
what's the weirdness predicated on? Just like the fact that this is an all new, all different version of Archie, and like there's this weird murder, but there's this episode had like this really gross scene where like he's doing the autopsy on Jason Blossom, and it's just like it's you see like his body is, it's all gross. Like I felt they lingered too long on that too. Like I was like, okay, this is really gross to like look at. Can we not?
When I talk about the weirdness of the first episode that I really liked, I mean like when they showed like, you know, Blossom, like the Blossom siblings, and they kind of like were walking and it was kind of slow motion and they were like overly made up and they had like the music was a little weird. It kind of just had this weird vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like the way it was paced and structured. And I think that was missing in this episode. Like the story continued along the same lines. It was fine. It's just the presentation was a little bit less interesting than it was in the first episode.
Oh, okay. All right. I personally didn't notice that, but
it was still good. It just wasn't as good, I don't think. But I'm still going to be watching and still going to be enjoying. This episode, we got to see Jughead discover Archie's secret. That was kind of like the big turn where he realized that Archie was having sex with his teacher.
Yeah.
Doing the Dawson's Creek. We have the teacher desperately wanting to keep a secret. She's like, you have to keep this a secret. Remember, this is a CW show. We need secrets. Secrets.
Yeah, well, it's the CW Berlanti show, so secrets. In this case, I can, like, understand the secrets part because, like, he did bone his teacher, and that would most definitely get her fired if that got out.
And worse.
Yeah. And worse. It'd be,
he's
like,
probably underage.
Over, like,
he seems to be, like, a sophomore, right?
Yeah, so he's supposed to be, like, 16 or something in the show, I think, so he's definitely underage.
So, yeah, so she'd be seeing, like, jail time. So, yeah, it's a little bit more understanding for it, but it still is, like, the same kind of, even though it makes more sense, it's still that same kind of, like, you know, like, talking about secrets. It's like, yeah, we get it. You want to keep a secret. You don't have to remind us every 10 seconds that you're keeping a secret. But I do like some of the other stuff going on in the episode. I like the kind of weird little twist that happened with evidence pointing back to the murder victim's sister, and we know that's not the end of the story, but that it's kind of like deep in the picture of what was going on, you know? And I continue to like Jughead's narration over the episode too.
Oh yeah, Jughead's narration continues to be. Jughead is, I think, right now one of my favorite characters on that show.
I'd say Jughead and Veronica, probably.
Yeah, Jughead and Veronica. And not because Veronica is so hot.
Not just because, yeah.
Not just because. Yeah. But yeah, I say right now, but yeah, I say I'm definitely liking Jughead. I think he's one of the most real characters on that show. Weird thing to say, but it's like, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's like he's got like a healthy cynicism to him that the other characters don't exhibit. So it's interesting. I like his perspective. I like the fact that he's the narrator.
Yeah. It's interesting because he's not a front and center character. Like, he's there, but he's not like, he's like a supporting character, but he's the narrator. And I like that. I like that it's not the lead, like it's not Archie narrating, you know? Let's move on to Taboo. So this is episode 4 of Taboo. Yeah, a lot more going on with, Delaney incest.
Yeah.
A lot more Delaney witchiness. Delaney James seems to be using his witchy powers to long distance fuck his sister. He's like giving her like psychic cunnilingus or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah. It was that was a very weird sequence. I was like, he's like sexing her through magic from like a distance. And I'm like, so now we have like magical long distance incest. I don't know. But like I think before we were like questioning if Delaney's magic was real or something. I guess this episode like answered that question. Like he does have some,
without outright saying.
like he does have some magical abilities because he's able to give his sister orgasms from like a long way away. So I mean,
that's a great skill to put on his resume.
Yes. Can give women long distance orgasms.
So I can give my sister an orgasm from
a long distance orgasm. Yeah.
So the Americans made their move to kill Delaney. It didn't work. Nope. Delaney again brutally murdered his attacker.
That was an amazing scene. That was like, whoa. Like, he is just a beast. Like, people need to stop trying to kill Delaney because it doesn't work out for the hitman so well. Like,
it was looking bad for Delaney at first. Like, he got knocked out and was getting dragged and then...
No, because that was his plan. It was so brilliant because like he literally let himself get knocked out and be put in that position so that he could cut that guy's legs down and one up him. It's like at first I was like, oh shit, but then I'm like, oh, you clever bastard, you planned that.
Still took a heavy hit to the head though.
Yeah, I know. To get that through. Well, yeah, I know. It's like
it wasn't looking so great for him, and then just like his viciousness shined through.
Yeah, his viciousness shined through. But yeah, definitely, he took a heavy blow to the head, but definitely looked like he let that happen just to get himself into that position. He is insanely clever.
We had a little chemistry lesson in this episode where we found out how to make dynamite, how to make gunpowder. I mean, so did you know that gunpowder was made from like shit and piss?
Nope, but I do now.
I actually saw something before where they talked about that. Like they had like buried dead bodies and covered them with shit and piss and were using that to harvest gunpowder. So there's an anime I saw that had that in it. As odd as it sounds. But so like I was kinda like, oh, this is the second time I've seen people make gunpowder in a fictional show using shit and piss.
You know, you watch too much TV when that's the second time you saw people make gunpowder from scratch on TV.
You enjoy his new acquaintance, like testing the potency of the shit by taking a little taste sample.
I know, the dude starts like eating shit, like just random shit, like just doesn't matter what it was, like pigeon shit or like I don't know, what that horse shit, I think, in that one scene. And he's like, it's just laying there and he just eats it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's just fucking gross. A, because it's shit. Because it's shit, and B, because it's just sitting there in the middle of the ground or whatever, and who knows how long it's been sitting there. But yeah.
Who knows what's gotten onto that shit.
Exactly. Like
all sorts of nasty shit could have gotten on that shit.
There's like all kinds. I'm like, okay, guy. Well, I don't know what you can learn from like putting shit in your mouth, but I don't think you're gaining any knowledge.
Delaney and his new chemist friend work together to pull off a heist along with Delaney's crew of the damned or whatever. It's his crew. They want to steal saltpeter. They want to steal saltpeter, which is another ingredient in gunpowder from the East India Company, and so they succeed in that. That was a cool like little heist scene. Delaney wasn't there; he was at like a party, working his alibi. at the beginning of the episode, we had, Delaney's would-be, could-be, mother-in-law, or not mother-in-law, stepmom, taken from his house and almost raped as like a tool for the East India Company to persuade her to side with them against, James. And James ends up kind of saving her, but like last minute. And we find out later that he kind of let the whole thing happen in that way, specifically to send a message to the East India Company.
Yeah.
So he could have gotten her out like way earlier, but he lets it progress to a certain point just to kind of like send the message loud and clear. Yeah, that was caused a little bit of tension with him and his new stepmom. We got to meet Countess Musgrove, who ends up she's the one that has the party. She works with the Americans, and her and James partake in a little magic trick.
Right.
It's weird seeing James like kind of freaking out when he's in a crowd or when he's like enclosed by people. Like how he was like, you know, he was kind of like having like like PTSD flashbacks of Africa or something because he had too many people around him.
Yeah, too many. Yeah, he has like this lot of like these like little freakouts I noticed. So yeah, he's definitely dealing with issues over whatever the heck happened in Africa to him, which is one thing the show hasn't really gone into any detail as to what exactly happened in Africa. Like if, in fact, that's not even mentioned much, you know.
We know he's all tattooed up and that he knows, he has like these weird visions and
he has these weird visions. He has like, he knows voodoo.
But we don't have the full details on what any of that means. The episode ends with Delaney's brother-in-law challenging him to a duel to the death.
Yes.
So that's where we leave off.
Yeah, challenge him to a duel. That just sounds like that guy has a death wish. Because, like, really, dude, a duel?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be all that smart.
No, he doesn't.
He so vehemently hates this guy. Probably because, like, it's probably something, not so much because he has suspicions that the brother and sister have had sex, but that he doesn't measure up sexually to him.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Just kind of that's kind of what it feels like, in the way it's his animosity has been portrayed as like jealousy more than anything, which just kind of makes it even, you know, just adds to the creepiness of the whole situation. So that was Taboo. Do you have anything else to add for this episode?
No, I think we're good with Taboo.
Let's talk about what is probably the MVP episode of the week, at least for me.
MVP. Oh my God. For me too, actually.
Episode 3 of season 2 of The Magicians, titled Divine Elimination, in which they finally take on the Beast again, and Julia confronts Reynard.
Yes, Julia confronts Reynard. Well, it's funny. Oh my God. There's like so much. Like I forget the other hedge witch's name. That
guy, yeah, I can't remember it either.
But basically bait for Reynard.
Yeah.
The scene where she's locked in her apartment with Reynard was like very, very intense. That guy is just scary.
God, he turned her cat inside out, and it was like still alive.
That was still alive. And he talked about like how he was going to eat her alive, and he was going to start from her toes.
Starting at her feet.
Yeah, starting at her feet. And it's like, oh,
he bit off one of her fingers. Yeah, it was brutal. And it was interesting watching the hedge witch like hang in for a while and like throw some barbs at him, and then he would just top it just by doing something just monumentally even more fucked up to kind of throw her off, you know, and kind of get some fear out of her. So it's kind of like a little game between them where she was like trying to act nonplussed, and he was like progressively doing worse and worse things to like get her to become more and more afraid. In this situation, you know, after they had summoned this guy, the Beast had taken Julia away because he knew that Reynard wouldn't approach if he sensed them there.
Right, exactly.
But then even after then, like, you know, they get back to the place, and neither of them are there, not, her body or anything. And the Beast suggests that if he was in Reynard's situation, he'd follow the person home. And so, in this way, the Hedge Witch ends up basically causing her own misfortunes by warding her house a little bit too well when Reynard's already in there with her.
Right.
And this delays the Beast and Julia from getting in and confronting him. And it was a great scene when it just looked like he was like totally had her, and then all of a sudden he freezes. And you're like, oh, the Beast, he made it through. And they get there, and then Julia ends up taking her sweet time.
Yeah, Julia ends up taking her sweet time. And then, basically, before Julia and the Beast can do anything, Penny, teleports them to the showdown where they've powered up the spell to kill the Beast. Only she just misses, and she just manages to injure him.
Yeah, and Julia ends up tagging along when Penny goes to take the Beast, and this causes more problems. But let's go back a little bit, because we need to talk about the setup for that story.
Yeah,
we know that they have these demons in their backs now, and they're trying to figure out other ways to be able to handle the Beast in order to delay him. Unfortunately, they don't. Quentin doesn't immediately tell them about the problem with Julia telling him what the Beast had done with the curse. And because of that, it's too late, and all four of them end up sitting on their thrones and becoming cursed.
Yeah, we finally find out what the Beast curse is, because last episode we didn't know what exactly the curse was, and now we do know. And
it just makes the people that sit on the thrones like paranoid and aggressive against the other royalty.
Paranoid and aggressive and very, very homicidal. Also,
so because all of them sit on their thrones and all of them are cursed, Penny ends up figuring out that the best way to stop them to get rid of the curse is death. And so, thinking that, he travels back to Earth, grabs syringes with I can't remember what it is, with a compound to basically stop their hearts, and then adrenaline to restart their hearts. He shows back up, is holding them all at crossbow point, but his hands start going kind of numb, so he can't hold the crossbow anymore.
Yeah. Luckily,
thankfully, the idiocy of the group, under the influence of the spell,
they all take
just do their work for him.
Yeah, they just do his work for him.
Presented with a means of creating death, they just all start stabbing each other with these syringes, and even Margot, after, being the only one left, stabs herself. Just because the curse has to run its course to completion.
The curse, so it turns out the curse is that they all kill each other, but then the last person alive kills themselves, because that's the curse. Everybody has to die.
In the course of all of this, Margot ends up using her demon against Quentin to kill him, and Penny uses his to block it.
To protect.
So now we've lost two of the cacao demons, just because of this nonsense.
It's okay.
We find out that Alice already got rid of hers because she felt bad for it.
Yeah.
So now all we have left is Quentin's. That doesn't seem to be enough to keep the Beast busy. So they devise another thing, which is a really simple spell, like a year one spell, that when the three of them use it together would be able to trap the Beast in place. And that takes us back to where we left off with with Penny bringing Julia and the Beast. And that is why Alice missed, because Quentin dropped his side of the charm to pull Penny, or to pull Julia out of the way of the spell. And that gives the Beast enough room to move and avoid a direct hit from the spell. And so he gets fucked up, but not killed.
Yeah, the Beast gets fucked up, but not killed. And so Quentin and Alice go on this suicide mission to finish off the Beast once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the Beast injured is trying to repower himself, regain his power. So he goes to the wellspring. Yeah, he goes to the wellspring to drink from it.
And Elliot and Margot are trying to seek out Umber to get a re-up on his power. Another glass of his sperm.
Yeah, Elliot wants to re-up Alice's power. So they seek out Umber. The Beast.
Umber's not home.
The Beast gets to the wellspring. That's Umber, right? The goat guy. Yeah. So the Beast gets to the wellspring to find out that Umber defecated in it, rendering it undrinkable. So the Beast can't power up with the wellspring. Which is like,
and that's also why Umber wasn't there when Elliot and Margot went to go find him.
Right, yeah, because he was busy defecating in the wellspring. That was a funny scene.
So, yeah, Umber's a straight up asshole.
Yeah, he's
they also seem to be hinting that Umber might be more of a threat than just this kind of like mischievous, kind of like weird god. Like that there might be more threatening to him. There's some things that the Beast was saying about he knows what his plans are. Plus, instead of giving his seed to, and helping Elliot and Margot, he just zaps them over without it to watch the confrontation between Alice and the Beast, who are now like full on dueling with the Beast. Only has one hand available to him. He tries to cut Alice in half. Quentin jumps in the way, gets injured but not killed, and then Alice starts basically firing off small attacks at the Beast that are just kind of doing marginal damage and kind of keeping him on the ropes and seeming to outdo her, like going overboard with the amount of magic she's using, which we know previously from, the events of season 1, it leads to a problem.
Right.
So they know now that Alice is basically going to become pure magic and be destroyed, which is the same thing that happened to her brother. We find out that this is like an intentional thing she did, that she intentionally wanted to put herself in this position so she would have the power to kill the Beast. She does. She goes up in flame, reappears as like a magic ghost, and rips the Beast open and lets all the moths out.
Yeah.
And so seemingly kills the Beast. There was like one blue moth that left his mouth that, seems to imply there might be something left of him.
Right.
But for the most part, she killed him.
For the most part, she killed him. For the most part, we can assume that if he still is around, he's no longer going to be an immediate threat.
Yeah.
For the time being.
Meanwhile, Alice is now gone nuts. She's now targeting Quentin. She's going to kill him. Then she gets distracted by Elliot and Margot. She's going to kill them. Quentin grabs her attention again, gives it back to him, and he's trying to stop her. They're trying to reason with her.
They can't reason with her though, because she's not really her anymore. And so Quentin
unleashes his cacao demon.
Cacao demon, yeah. And seemingly kills Alice, or at least the Niffling that was Alice, because I don't think Alice was still alive at that point.
She already burned up.
She already burned up. So basically killed the Niffling. So I guess Alice is dead now. I mean, it's a show about magic, so anything can happen. But
yeah,
it looked like
Alice. She gets.
Yeah, it looks
she's
like
dead.
She's dead.
It doesn't mean she can't come back, but she's dead. I mean, same way Jon Snow was dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So Alice is dead. Quentin is just racked because of that. And then, meanwhile, Penny had taken Julia out of Fillory and dropped her off in a park. And in Julia's anger, after finding out that, when she accidentally breaks one of his wristbands or whatever, his bracelets that are keeping his power somewhat checked, she removes the other ones all over the place and has no control, just way worse than it was even before, trying to keep his power in check. So he's not in a good state. Julia just kind of takes off and leaves him there to head back and try to find Reynard again, because the dagger that she used to blackmail the Beast and that could kill Reynard is still in that the room with Reynard and the Hedge Witch.
Right.
So she gets back there and the Hedge Witch is dead. Reynard is gone.
Reynard is gone. He killed the Hedge Witch. Julia did not get her vengeance on Reynard, and now Julia doesn't even have the Beast to use to seek that revenge.
Or Or the knife.
Or the knife. Yeah, she dropped that when Penny grabbed it.
Reynard has that now. So Reynard has the knife. The beast is gone. The power she has from being raped is probably waning in the same way it was for Alice.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be.
Basically, almost everything goes wrong. The beast gets killed. That was part of the plan, but in every other way, everything went awry. Alice is gone. The hedge witch is gone. The beast is gone. So that's 3 significant deaths right there.
Right.
And that's kind of where it's left us off after only 3. Yeah, this is the 3rd episode. So 3 episodes into the 2nd season. 3 significant character deaths.
Yeah, 3 significant
including the primary antagonist and one of the primary protagonists.
The primary antagonist, one of the primary protagonists, and then another character, not like a major character. She was more of a side character, even like last season, but she was still a big character. Yeah, wow. And yeah, we're 3 episodes in. Like, I was expecting all this shit to go down in the 3rd episode of the season. Like, holy fuck. But then again, I guess it makes sense.
I kind of was after the last episode. Because they seem to be preparing really fast.
That makes sense, though, because these seasons are like only 10 episodes. So it's like, it's not like they have like 24 episodes to mess around. They need to get stuff done.
So I watched like a behind the scenes video they have up on YouTube that you guys can check out if you go to SyFy's YouTube channel. They said that, I haven't read the books, but they said Julia died at the end of the first book and that they delayed that death. So instead of killing her last season, they waited a bit because they wanted to kind of get like more closure on kind of all of the events that were happening around her and Quentin before that happened.
Right.
So they wanted to kind of resolve some things and then have her get killed off. So they wanted to kind of lead into that to kind of have more of an impact. So basically, like the first 3 episodes of this are kind of like the run over of the last season. And the next like 7 episodes, the rest of the season is kind of like book 2.
Okay, interesting. So the rest of it's pretty much book 2.
Seems to be. I don't know how much has been changed besides that. Like I said, I haven't read the books.
I have known 0 about books. So if something's changed, that's gonna get totally by me. So I'm not gonna comment on how the show is different from the books because you might as well ask me to comment on brain surgery. I have the exact
because they're the same thing. I challenge anybody to question that.
Yes,
brain surgery and knowing a book are the same thing.
Well, it's just like I have 0 knowledge. So
yeah, I'm just kidding. I, Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, confirm that they are the exact same thing. Period.
So
yeah, so that's the magicians. We got, of course, Quentin's going to, go and try to bring back Alice somehow. That's gotta be his mission now. Because based on the way we left them. We know now that there might be some semblance of what was left from the beast. We know that there might be a sinister side to Umber that we haven't seen yet. We still have the hanging thread of that woman that took Quentin's blood in the first episode, kind of hanging over, and kind of her warning about the people in Fillory only seeming whimsical.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I think we're going to start getting more into the dark side of Fillory, because before this, the dark side of Fillory was all like the beast's doing. Like it was the stuff that the beast did that made Fillory dark. And now I think we're going to get into the actual dark side of Fillory, like what was dark before the beast and still is, or what's been corrupted by the beast and is now still dark because of that. So that's kind of seems to be where we're going moving forward with the season.
Right.
So what are you thinking so far about the season?
Oh, geez, I'm loving it. Oh, this is insane. Loving it. This continues to be one of my favorite shows.
I'd say right now, on TV, the shows that are currently on, it's Taboo, The Magicians, Legion, and The Expanse. And Legion's only 1 episode in, so I don't know if it's going to hold that, but
right.
Already it's kind of feels like up there. So
hopefully it does.
It's good. There's a lot of good genre TV.
There's so much good TV. I mean, this is the golden age, people. Like, soak in it. This is truly a golden age.
So that brings us to what's coming up in the next week. More TV.
Yes. More TV.
So, tomorrow or today, if you're listening to this podcast, it would already be Friday. So on Friday, February 10th, 2017, David Brent, Life on the Road, hits Netflix. This is the Office, sequel movie to the British Office. Rain comes back to the CW. The Collection, I have no idea what that is. It's Amazon. This Sunday is a big one, though. Girls comes back to HBO. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver comes back to HBO. We've been missing him. We haven't had his voice on the air since Trump took office. We need his perspective, so that's going to be nice to have him back this Sunday. The Missing, which I actually talked about in one of our Spotlight articles, if you check that out. It's a really good show. It's a British show, British-French show. That comes back on Starz, the second season. It's kind of like a new story with like basically one main returning character. So I'm really looking forward to that. The big one for this Sunday, though, is The Walking Dead. So that's the one that you're going to be hearing everyone talking about. It's The Walking Dead. It's coming back. Stuff's going to go down. That's going to be the big thing everyone's talking about. Monday, February 13th, Humans comes back to AMC. That's a really good show. Enjoyed the first season. Looking forward to the next one. Tuesday, February 14th, that's actually Valentine's Day. The Mindy Project comes back to Hulu. And then on Friday, February 17th, Chef's Table comes back to Netflix. And that is the week. So not a lot that I'm super psyched for, but there are a few in there. The Walking Dead, The Missing, Humans, Last Week Tonight. Those are the ones kind of I'm looking forward to. Any ones in there that you're really looking forward to?
Not really.
Not Last Week Tonight?
Last Week Tonight. Well, Last Week Tonight, I always watch that's a good show. I always watch the clips on YouTube. I wouldn't say like it's like I'm super excited to watch that, but it's definitely.
That's what I did last season. I was watching it on YouTube, and now I'm just taping it on the DVR.
It's nice. I like it. I hope to hear a lot of good commentary on Trump, but it's so depressing that I don't even know. Like I think it just depressed me even further.
Hi. So that's it for the show. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will on Twitter. He's at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, as well as our site, TVEnthusiast.com. Doing a little bit of redesign there. Let us know what you think. You can subscribe to the podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast. And the entire backlog of our podcast, as well as lots of videos, are available on our YouTube channel. You can watch Hannibal Season 3 and then after each episode, watch our discussion of it and feel like you're watching along with us through the Hannibal time machine.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Night.
Night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more